My name is Ryan Lane, and welcome to my review channel. So, for today's movie, I will be reviewing Oppenheimer, written and directed by Christopher Nolan and starring Cillian Murphy, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr., Florence Pugh, Josh Hartnett, Casey Affleck, Rami Malek, Kenneth Branagh, and Benny Safdie. So, the plot of Oppenheimer focuses on, appropriately enough, Oppenheimer. More specifically, three important aspects of his life: his time in academia as both a student of quantum mechanics and a professor of quantum mechanics, his time directing the security clearance hellscape that was the Manhattan Project, and his time in post World War II era America, where he tried to de escalate nuclear tensions. Connecting these three timelines is Oppenheimer's continuous struggle to reconcile his political beliefs with his scientific beliefs. So the cast is excellent. Everyone from Cillian Murphy to everyone downward, from Josh Hartnett to Florence Pugh, they all do a great job bringing to life their morally ambiguous characters that are as gray as the film's partially black and white cinematography. Cillian Murphy excels as Oppenheimer, a brilliant scientist who struggles to ensure that his scientific beliefs do not interfere with his political beliefs, and he does a great job of exploring just how brilliant of a man he was and also how conflicted of a man he was. I think the most interesting aspect of him is that while he did specifically states at multiple points throughout the movie he did not subscribe to communist beliefs, he did fraternize with many open communists, and he did express perhaps not admiration, but at the very least intellectual interest in communism, having literally read the Communist Manifesto in its original language. So, and also on that note, he spoke many languages too as well, including Sanskrit, in order to read the book, which contained the quote most attributed to him regarding I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. So he does a great job there. Also, another noteworthy performance is Robert Downey Jr. Proving that he can play more roles than just Iron Man. Like, Robert Downey Jr. is fully fleshed out as Strauss, a politician who wants to ensure America's dominance in nuclear power, even if it means burying the man who helped create nuclear power itself. So, kind of ironic there, but very well done all the same for the character. So, the screenplay does an amazing job of exploring the ethics and logistics of the creation of the first atom bomb. The film does a good job of portraying Oppenheimer's experiences with the atom bomb, ranging from the security clearance hell he had to endure to create the bomb to the ethical ramifications he only began to consider once it was too late to consider them, in effect. The film does have a bit of a touch and go approach. Like, the film is much like the atoms that they're spitting at each other in an effort to create a reaction. The film goes at a pretty consistent pace. There are only a few moments where you get a traditional scene with characters talking between each other. And yet, I wasn't bothered by this. However, I feel like a slight consequence of this is that some material didn't get as much focus as others. Like, for example, his extramarital affair with communist Jean Tatlock, played by Florence Pugh. I feel like perhaps the film could have maybe benefited from exploration of this aspect of Oppenheimer's life. But at a gargantuan 3-hour runtime, of which the film breezes through impressively quickly, like, I've sat through 2-hour movies that felt longer than this movie, I feel like any more material would have just caused the film to completely collapse in on itself. Again, much like a star would, as they talk about in the movie. Also, speaking of the science, the film does a good job of talking about the science surrounding the atom bomb in a way that audiences can kind of grasp, the mechanics of. Again, I like to consider myself a smart person, but then again, everyone likes to consider themselves smart. And to that end, I thought I could follow the film well enough, and I think this film did a better job of explaining the science than Interstellar, or at the very least, it did so in a way that didn't feel like it was dumbing itself down too hard for the non science people present in the audience. I'm sure scientists will have a field day with this movie and the scientific accuracy or potential lack thereof. Also, one thing I love really well is how the film handles the plot. Surprise, surprise, Christopher Nolan does the plot in non-linear fashion, and yet I could completely keep track of what was going on at any given moment in the film. There was never a moment I was like, what year is this? What time is this relative to when? It all blurs together in a way that is very well done. So the film cinematography does a great job of bringing you into the headspace of its two main protagonists, J. Robert Oppenheimer and Strauss. For Oppenheimer, the film uses tools ranging from shallow focus to strategic lack of sound to, for lack of a better term, surreally realistic visuals. I don't know how else to describe it, but you'll know it when you see it. And this all has a great effect of bringing you into the horror-filled landscape that is Oppenheimer's mind and how guilty he feels for the nuclear weapons he unleashed upon the world. For Strauss, the film uses black and white cinematography to clue you in to just how binary of a viewpoint Strauss has about himself and about how he is the only man who can help America beat the Soviets in terms of nuclear power. So I really enjoyed that there. Plus, it does a great job of helping you keep track of whose perspective we're seeing the plot be portrayed from at any given time. So very well done there. So the film does a great job at conveying the horror of the first atomic bomb in a way that audiences can understand very well, because the film uses very clean visual language to show you just how terrifying the bomb is, with stunning long wide shots showing you the sheer scale of the blast. The very first test of the atomic bomb, and by test I mean like full scale, like what you see in the trailers with Josh Peck hovering his hand above the almost comically large red button, that sequence I'm talking about, it scared the hell out of everyone into silence. You want to know how I know this? I know this because I and the rest of the audience was completely silent, and I know that because the entire sequence, well, most of the sequence for which you see the explosion is completely silent. There is no sound whatsoever, no ambient noise from the characters, no score, no nothing. You are just left there to bask in the sheer awe and terror of the most terrifying and destructive weapon ever created by mankind. That's not to say the film eschews a score entirely. To the contrary, the film uses a score strategically to elevate, dare I say, the sheer horror of certain moments of the film. Most strategically of which, when the film uses violins for when Oppenheimer is getting grilled during a kangaroo court. And this score elevates these moments into full-blown horror set pieces at times. Like, this is some of the scariest stuff you'll sit through. Like, even the most scariest horror movie got nothing on Oppenheimer. So, though some may find the screenplay's touch-and-go approach to Oppenheimer's life story a tad lacking in certain areas, the film nevertheless reaffirms Christopher Nolan's grasp of both visual and dramatic spectacle. So, with all that in mind, I will be giving Oppenheimer 4.5 out of 5 stars. Anyway, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. If you like this review and would like to see more like it, be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. And for today's comment section prompt of the day, what is your favorite Christopher Nolan movie and why?